Welcome back to the press, and if you're just joining us, you've not missed too much. We've just finished the newspaper headlines, and now we move to the segment where we bring our guest on the program. And with us today is Mr. Richard Oriri, a journalist. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Richard.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Great to have you. Great to have you here. And before we proceed, we'd like to remind our viewers at home that our phones are turned on to take your calls, of course. And please, before you call, make sure you stay away from your TV set or you reduce the volume of your TV set. And my first question today to Mr. Richard would be taken from the Nigerian Tribune. Kaduna government to reinstate 1,288 sacked primary school teachers. That's on page 2. And then we have one from Vanguard, where the governor-elect of Benue State has said Benue is in intensive care unit as of now. And from yesterday, there's been a lot of back and forth between governor-elects and, of course, governors, saying governor-elects cannot meddle in the affairs of the states because they are still in charge right now. Do you think certain governors of some states right now reinstating teachers and employing staffs all of a sudden, do you think that is actually the right way to go right now, given what is on ground in Nigeria?
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Annabel. Happy Easter in advance.
Happy Easter to you too.
Yes, the issue of Kaduna State governor reinstating the sacked teachers, I think he did well, but it shouldn't be now. The teachers were suffering before now, even before the election. They were crying, pleading with him, calling on political stakeholders to talking to the governor. They're coming now to restating them. I think that strategy is meant to give so much burden to the incoming government. But in any case, he has done that. He's still the governor of Kaduna State is in charge until May 29th before he will leave office. Okay. He's left for the incoming government, the governor-elect in Kaduna State now to decide on what to do if he takes over. And going to Benue State, the governor-elect, Reverend Father Recent Alia, he's saying that Benue State is in intensive care unit, that is the ICU. Yes, that is true. I am from Benue State. All of us, we are aware that Benue is in intensive care unit.
So are you in intensive care unit?
Every one of us are in
right here in the studio with us.
Intensive care unit. And okay. Benue State citizens, they are eagerly waiting for the incoming government to take over from the outgoing government. And that is meant to see how the governor who have won his election, that is Reverend Hanset Alia, on the platter of gold because of the abysmal performance of the outgoing government. That's why he came. The first time he will contest election, he has not been councillor before. He has not even held any position on the party level, either a ward ESCO member before. He has not even been elected to be a delegate of any political party before. The first time he will contest election was this election he went into, and he won with very large margin. And that shows clearly the abysmal performance of the outgoing governor. And the governor for over close to 8 years now, 7 years and about 10 months now that he has been in charge of Benue State government. He has not done no employment, promotion, they are there, no promotion to anybody. But suddenly last month, he went ahead trying to appoint PAMSECs and giving promotion to many civil servants in the state. Those things are meant to say, here am I, here I am, and I am for you, but he was not for us in the past. And the governor, the incoming governor, raising eyebrow to say, like the other day, he wrote to Benue State investment unit that they should not. They shouldn't give any loan again to the outgoing government, because that Benue State investment and something, I have forgotten the real name, Benue State investment something, they sometimes give assistance, financial assistance to the government. They take loan from them as well, but he has written to them that any loan given to Benue State government again, he will not honor it if he takes over. And that is right. And last 2 days ago, they released employment of teachers across primary schools in Benue State. And you cannot just employ teachers where you say your IGR is not anything to talk about. And you cannot employ teachers when there are dilapidated school structures across the state. There's no primary school in Benue State today you will go to and you see proper infrastructure. The environment in all primary schools in Benue State, they are not conducive for learning. So if you employ these teachers, where are they going to stay to teach the pupils? There's no structure.
So what exactly do you make? What exactly is the reason why the incumbent government or administration keeps doing that? Because the same issue when you go to Kano State is what you have, even Osun State. And then in Kano you have the governor-elect asking that no loans should be given to the incumbent governor. And then he came out to say that that's all.
They have taken much of the loan. Like in Benue State now, we have over 188 or 87 billion debt already. Loans that the governor took in the past, and that is still there for the incoming administration to come and handle. And we don't think there's any moral right for the outgoing government to still take further loan to add to the one he has before. Going to Kano State, most of them, if you check their debt profile, you see that it's so high. So why creating more burden on the incoming administration? At least there should be something for them to lay hand on as they are coming in now to hit the ground
so
running.
if you see that you keep putting more burden on the incoming government,
yes.
I'll take a look at this one. On almost all the national dailies says subsidy removal and palliative. Federal government gets $800 million from World Bank to cushion subsidy removal. That's the same federal government getting loans again to cushion subsidy removal. So wouldn't you also say that's a burden to the incoming government?
And that's just one. As of yesterday, the House of Senate passed the bill because the China Exim Bank refused a certain loan. Now they've moved to another China bank to take another loan again. So is this actually morally justifiable? Apart from morally, what antecedents are they leaving for the said government that is coming in come May 29?
All of them need to be investigated, and we urge the incoming government to look very deep into what they are doing now, both the state governments and federal government. The incoming administration should look inward and truly go deep and see if there is need for investigation. They should investigate them, because what they are doing, loan taking, and this federal government taking over 800 million US dollar loan, is all about corruption, because they are still going to be the one to spend this money. And if you look at it, it will not be spent judiciously. It will not be used judiciously to the benefit of me and you. Rather,
well, they said 50 million people has been earmarked for that palliative.
Who are the 50 million
the most vulnerable, according to that?
There is no one person from my community that will raise his or her hand up that my name is shortlisted for this 800 million US dollar.
Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
And I don't think there's anyone from your community as well.
Good morning, you Orji, Babajide, and Oriri. You are on to SLB calling from Lagos.
SLB calling from Lagos. How is Lagos today?
Well, over here pretty well. The weather is somehow friendly. Thank you very much for asking.
All right, great.
Mr. Oriri, thank you very much. I really appreciate your excellent statement, and that is the beauty of democracy. Everybody is entitled to his own opinion. Let me quickly respond with the compared to the issue of Benue State, the incoming governor, the Kano State, Ogun State, all this stuff. To my own understanding, I strongly believe government is a process, and that of course, when we are talking of development and governance, there must be what we consider as continuity. And if elected or the incoming governors are coming up with this kind of issues, attacking the administration, constituting them or not to collect loans, or so on and so on and so forth, it means you cannot expect continuity in the government. It's even me with the many now, it shows that there will not be possibility in so many things, because there is already a fracture between them and the incoming governor. We have the National State Assemblies, and getting along is a process. If you set up a committee before you are sworn in, you come up, check out everything, checkmate everything. Everything that has gone through due process, and that you are okay with the system, and the system will bring development in the state. Why not continue with it? Anything that you feel is a questionable activity, go on, question the previous government. If you are to take them to court, take them to court. You cannot stop the present government, which we are sworn in long ago, and telling them not to connect, not going to all this. To me, honestly, it's like we misunderstand the concept of democracy, and we must have to understand the exact concept of democracy before we achieve our goal. So therefore, I'm not saying that they are not right. They have the right to advise. They have the right to do the labor. But they don't have the right to stop the present administration or to stop any other agency not to assist the present administration to do what is right. But I believe government is a process. Set up a committee. If you are okay with the activities of the previous government, then question them. Thank you very much, SMB from Lagos.
Thank you, SMB, for that contribution. Okay, so he says that government is a process and we're still in a democracy, so he do not agree with the fact that the incoming government has to, the governor-elect has to stop the incumbent government from collecting loans.
Yes, his point was okay, but I can say his point was okay because they are still in charge. Okay. They are still in charge, but just like he said, should go by way of advising the outgoing government, because if there is any rancor between the two, the one coming in may decide to deal with the one going out, because there must be something very wrong that they have all committed.
But isn't that even peculiar to Nigerian governments? There's usually no synergy between the outgoing and the incoming governments, and then you see cases of where we have projects of outgoing governments that's usually put on hold once there's a new government, and then it feels like they start afresh totally.
That has been that is the culture in Nigeria.
Even though the government is supposed to continue.
Government should be a continuous process, just like he said. Even democracy is a process, because you cannot just come and say, yes, this is democracy and this is this. No, it's a process. In the past, where even if you are not rich in America, where we borrowed democracy from, you are not qualified to vote. But it got to a point where everyone was qualified to vote, not just the rich alone. And there was a time, again, in America, where women were not equally voting. And in Nigeria, too, where women were not participating, especially in the North, in politics, especially democratically. Women were not participating in politics. But today, because it's a process, we can now see where women even being elected as governor, even in Adamawa State. If not for one or two things, you see that the first woman that will be governor in Nigeria will have emerged in Adamawa State. And if you look at what has happened in the 2023 general election, when we have a Muslim ticket was in 1993, there's MK Abiola and Tofa from Kano, and it was replicated in 2023, and that's to tell you that after that 1993, anytime there is a election in Nigeria, if there is a Muslim that is flying the flag of the party, you would definitely try to see how he would choose Christian to be his deputy, his vice. But in 2023, but Muslim stood for APC, and Nigerians went on the poll to say they choose them. And that shows clearly that everything in Nigeria, especially democracy, is a process. We will be where we are today. We cannot get it right once. We are going gradually, and we will get there. The development of Nigeria is a gradual process. Then the incoming administration, just as he said, it should go by way of advising the outgoing government. But And the area you said where the outgoing government, there are projects that they are embarking on now, but when the incoming administration or incoming government take over government by 29th of May now, some may decide to stop whatever the past administration have on ground. That has been the challenge we are having in Nigeria.
But if SBM said that they should create some kind of committee to check them, and then you say that the incoming government should advise the incumbent government.
Advise,
so, for example, let's go to Benue State. If Father Alia decides to advise Samuel Otom, do you think that he's going to accept advice?
He should, because all of them, the majority of them that have failed to install their successor, they should be scared, because I can say almost all the governors in Nigeria, they are corrupt, and majority of them tried to install their successors, but they failed. And in Benue State as well, the governor tried all he could. He spent all he has. He spent a lot of money to ensure that he was able to install a successor, but Benue people rejected that his bid.
So coming back to come and advise him.
So now advising is, even if he's advising the outgoing government, he is equally doing him good, because if he failed to yield to his advice, once he take over government, since they are not from the same political party, he doesn't even have project on ground, but he may decide to investigate his administration. And if he goes by way of investigating the outgoing government, you will see that something very terrible will happen to the outgoing government.
So are you saying that politics is an eye for an eye?
No. It's not an issue of eye for an eye, but in Nigeria, the way they have taken it, but those of us who are coming behind, we will learn the rudiment of democracy, and once government, you take over government, and even if you are not from the same political party, if you see projects that the government that you take over from, if you see projects that are human projects, you can continue with it. But the ones that are not human, that are just established, because we are good in policy making, but policy implementation is a problem in Nigeria. Most of the policies of government in Nigeria, they are not human oriented. They just create some policies to enable them siphon public funds. And if you go into every government, you will see it like that in almost all the states of the federation. So any project like that is not human oriented and is not to the interest of the masses, you will see anyone coming in, you will come in with your own blueprint. Like Asiwaju, he has been away from Nigeria for some time now, and him and his team, they are already preparing their own policy of what they will come to do for Nigeria. Maybe he will have his own template different from what Buhari has. They are from the same political party, but they have different ideology. You understand?
All right, let's take other stories. Guardian newspaper says opposition. I'm going to ask you two questions because of our time, so you can help us unbundle them in one breath. Now, on Guardian, it says opposition parties plot to produce rep speaker. And I'm wondering, why exactly is that an issue? Because now you have Senator Orji Zokalo saying using the new slang Emilokon, and then I saw a particular post where he said Tinubu used Emilokon, and then the Yoruba people went for him. So why are the Igbo people not behind him when he's saying Emilokon to become the next Senate president? And then I'm just wondering, I don't know, maybe you have an answer to that. So that's one on the side. And then secondly, on Daily Sun, the big headline there says Soyinka gives damning verdict on last elections, says that the polls one of the worst in Nigeria. Then Agbakoba, ex-NBA president, insists that presidential candidate must have 25% in Abuja to be declared winner. And then I'm wondering why exactly all of this is coming out. And then even on the Nation's newspaper, say Soyinka to Tinubu, make power devolution priority. I warned Peter Obi that his supporters will make him lose the election. Now, with all of this merged in one, Professor Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, saying that this polls is one of the worst. And then I've had a conversation with someone who says that it has always been like that in every trajectory, starting from the 1978 elections, then you go to all of them. There's always been that issue of this is worse than the other one. In all of this, what are your thoughts on that? That first, with regards to the Senate President, Orji Uzakalu, saying that Emiloko, Igbos should come behind him, and then they're saying that the APC saying opposition party are trying to produce recipe, and then the other side, 2023 elections was coming from the Nobel laureate. Okay,
let me start from former governor of Abia State, Dr. Orji Uzakalu, and Senator of the Federal Republic today. He started very wrongly by saying that Milokon, when Tinubu said Milokon, the whole Yorubas stood behind him, and now that he's saying Milokon, that the whole Southeast should stand behind him. That is taking it from the angle of ethnicity, which is not good for us in Nigeria. Ethnic politics has really divided us more than even religion presently in the country. And if he is going by way of a Milokon, and once he's a Milokon, the whole of Southeast should stand behind him, that shows he's going to be the Senate President for the Southeast, East, and he's not going to be the Senate President for Nigeria. And for that alone, I don't think other tribes will stand for him. And only the Southeasterners cannot make him Senate President. He knows that. They have just 5 states, and three senators times 5 is how many? There is 15 out of 109. You understand? And majority of these senators in the Southeast, they are not all from APC. It's only in Ebonyi State that you have the 3 senators from APC. If not in other states, like you go to Abia State, Labour Party, I think Labour Party have all. If you go to Enugu, the same thing, they divided all. So if you want to pick senators within his own party to vote for him from the Southeast, he will not even have up to 10 senators, even up to 7. He won't have. So he should have talked about a national issue. He should have come out to say, I am qualified, and this is why I am qualified for this position, not because I am a Southeasterner. And that was one of those things that counted against Obi. And I want them when they were talking about yes, all of us in Nigeria, we know that the Southeast have not been president since 1999. Even North Central have not been president since 1999. Northeast have not been president since 1999. Yes, we do South, North and South alternation. As in, once it's from South, it should go to North. And if it's North, we have North Central, Northeast, and Northwest. And if it's going to South, we have South, South, Southeast, and Southwest. So it has been Southwest, the Southwest and South. So Southeast has not been president. Yes, we are aware of that. But it shouldn't have gone to a level of, say, it must be Southeast. But you have to, because you have to go through other. In democracy, you must negotiate with other persons to buy into your own philosophy, political philosophy and ideology. Once you are not doing that, you are dividing the nation. And Orji Uzakalu have failed from that aspect, in that aspect. And on the other side of it again, Nigerians themselves will not even want to give Orji Uzakalu the Senate President, because no matter what happened, he's an ex-convict. No matter what happened, Orji Uzakalu is an ex-convict who became president. He's an ex-convict.
You had ex-convict who became president.
No, that is different. That one is quite different. Quite different. He was given a presidential pardon as well. There was no presidential pardon on Orji Uzakalu's case. In Orji Uzakalu's case, and aside that, if you go to Southeast, there are other senators who are qualified more than Orji Uzakalu. If you go to Ebonyi State Governor now, he is qualified, but it's just that the rule of the House will kick him out because he is a first timer in the Senate. And if you go to South, we have Akpabio from there too, who is a second timer too in the Senate, and he's qualified to be Senate President. So that is that. For Orji, for him to have gone in the ethnic line, I think Nigerians should forget about him. We should look for another better person that will be Senate President.
You cannot speak for over
I am a Nigerian. I am
speaking for yourself.
And I am speaking for myself and advising other Nigerians to shun, in fact, to even put aside anybody that is coming with a political ideology that will divide Nigeria on the basis of ethnicity. We should not
let's
go
touch on
that.
The other story.
Then the other side is story is about the minority political parties. There is a minor political parties coming together to form alliance and possibly make their way to electing the next Speaker of the House of Representatives from within their circle. They can do that. In the National Assembly today, the House of Rep, the lower house, we have 360 House of Reps members in the House of Representatives. And in this House of Representatives, presently as we speak, the majority party, which is APC, they don't have majority in the House now. I think APC out of the 360 have just 162 or 63 members. You understand? So the rest of the ones, they scattered it among other political parties. Labour Party have their own, PDP have, Zenith Labour Party, SDP, and other political parties. If they can come together and break into the APC 160 something members and break into them, they can make it. But it will be difficult because APC will do all they can to ensure that their members, they are intact. The 160 something members, the 62 or 63 members, they are intact. Then they will break into other states. Like
because of our time, let's leave the story about it and talk about Soyinka gives damning verdict. Says that polls worse in Nigeria.
Soyinka cannot say the polls was one of the worst in Nigeria. You can't say so. This 2023 election, to me, is one of the best elections apart from 2015 in Nigeria, because I was a candidate for the election and I saw what happened, and that is why when the APC candidate won the election, I have to congratulate her even before the election was announced, because I know very well that the vote counted was what came out of the polling unit. We cannot blame it on INEC. We will blame it on political party, even if there was anything at all, any rigging from the polling unit. And rigging, anybody that is talking about rigging in this election, it was difficult for anyone to rig the election. Very difficult. You can't. The only way that they were able to manipulate some of the areas that they say election was that they suppressed the people's will. The people's will, I say they suppressed, was that there was an arrangement before the people went to the poll in some areas, that once you are giving your ballot paper, you don't vote by yourself. They place people close to the ballot box, where once you get your ballot paper, you give it to that person. The person will be the one to thumbprint. You understand? But to say the ballot papers were thumbprinted as it used to be, it wasn't so. Because the accreditation was done manually and it was done electronically. And once that is done, the calculation from electronic register and the hard copy register, they all tally. And you will be given your ballot paper to go and cast your vote. And that's why it's a polling unit, PDP having 17, APC having 20 something. Because and the rest of the ballot papers were returned to INEC. And you cannot blame it on INEC, because INEC, majority of the INEC officials, they are in the office. The coppers were the ones used at the polling unit, and because INEC have they have finance to do this, because most of these coppers, they recruited as ad hoc staff to doing this job for them. They have to pay them transport allowance before they go to the polling unit, 1,500 naira per person. But INEC could not give them that money before they
even though all of this has been budgeted for.
Yes, they could not give them the money. They could not give it to them immediately, and some of these coppers, they don't even have money to transport themselves to the polling unit area. So politicians in that angle came in to influencing some INEC ad hoc staff by transporting them to polling units. You understand? By transporting them to polling unit. In doing this, they can allow what is not supposed to be allowed at the polling unit to happen. That is by allowing certain persons to be stationed and be thumbprinting the ballot papers for a particular party. And that was not done on the basis that they gave them the ballot papers to thumbprint. But what happened was that once you are giving your ballot paper, you will go and give directly to the person that will temperate for you. You will not be the one to temperate. So most people were not allowed to temperate by themselves, but they are the owner of the ballot paper, but they have to submit it to a particular person from that community to temperate. That was what happened in most states, and that's why they are saying there was suppression of voters in some areas. It wasn't what Wole Soyinka said is not true. 2023 election is one of the most credible election I've ever experienced since I grew up.
Speaking of credible, would you just say this election was totally free and fair?
You cannot say it was totally free and fair because voters were not allowed to do what they are supposed to do by themselves.
So how do you say it's credible if it's
it was credible because why I said it was credible because there was no manipulation like in the past. Manipulation in the past, what they normally do was that you will see 300 ballot papers into a particular polling unit, and none of these ballot papers will be returned to INEC. They will temperate all and count all in favor of a particular political party. But this one, even 100 pieces of ballot paper, they could not even finish in some polling units. The rest were returned. So the only areas where the credibility can be said it was not credible is that when voters, once giving your ballot paper to go and cast your vote, you are not the one to exercise to exercise your right. Somebody else in the community will collect it from you and do it by themselves to a particular party.
Did you see violence in some polling unit? Did you see ballot snatching in some polling units? So how do you
there was no ballot snatching, especially in my local government.
And you speak for your local government, not the whole Nigeria.
That's what I'm saying now. There was no ballot snatching in my local government. The only thing that happened in one ward called Apa in my local government was that the area where the local government chairman saw that his opponent was defeating him, that is the PDP. What they did was to go, they sent some boys to the particular polling unit where the other person was defeating them to go and scatter the box.
Right.
That is to say, he destroyed the vote there, not to be counted for his opponent.
Right,
so that was what happened. But normally, the election was credible.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us where you're calling us from.
Collins from the Benue State.
All right, Collins, please, we'd like you to be audible. Go ahead.
Happy silent dance.
Wish you all the best.
Hello?
Yes, we wish you all the best. Go ahead, we can hear you.
Yeah, like just the evidence see. That was exactly what happened even in my place. Despite the fact that all this thing was going on. Because there was a particular polling unit. What they did, after breaking the ballot box, they break the beaver. They did that same thing twice in a particular polling unit. They are about to even do the same thing in my own polling unit, just the fact that God was there and, there are certain people that you might see in one polling unit, certain things you have in mind, you cannot do it again. But that they didn't know these people. They know them all, and they know what they are doing. It was just a battlefield in these two elections that just passed by. They want to win by force, more especially the government election. I want to advise, the whole nation that if you want people to love you, to vote you, do the right thing. Like in the presidential and the House of Assembly election, like the person that won the House of Rape, she's a woman. She break a record that no man has ever been in that seat has done. If you look at how the whole constituency she came from, if it is street light, they are going on. If it is bridge, they are obstructing some villages, she's doing it. If it is road, she's. It's not too much.
All right.
Despite the fact that they have not finished their tenure, she's just coming in for the second time now. People are getting as issue. Call people change. So this is how maybe at least governor or House of Rape or Senator do the right thing so that the election will just be peaceful and easy going.
Absolutely spot on. Thank you so much, Collins from Otukpo, Benue State. Let's take the last story.
Okay, now let's take a quick dive into police inspector killed DPO injured as Okada riders attack policemen in Lagos. That's on Nigerian Tribune this morning. And then now to Kano driver conductor nabbed as 3 passengers die. That's on the Punch. And then equally yesterday in Asaba, a Trigger policeman shot at a young man that was driving well beside his wife. And that begs the question, when is this police brutality going to end? Is there something extraordinary you think the federal government should actually do right now? Because it feels like this is going to be a daily occurrence, and then it feels like there's always a story about the Nigerian police.
All right, let's quickly take this call before you go ahead. Hello, good morning. Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, this is Mr. Raul the Fortune, coming from Asaba.
All right, Fortune from Asaba. Go ahead.
Thank you. The Mr. Richard Oriri should understand that this election, the way it was planned to have happened, if you are to rate their performance, going by how much preparation they were given and how much that was budgeted for this, you can only give, it will be more unfair to give INEC 20 over 100. They failed woefully in the sense that, what we are talking here is, this is the same pattern that a small country like Kenya adopted, and they used it successfully, and they were, all the international observers that went there to observe what went on there, they come out with with a good report. Unlike Nigeria, what we're saying is that though the beavers worked fine, but the INEC boss, the people who are in charge, they deliberately manipulate the process, which is not transmitting the results. And the whole conspiracy happened this way.
Right.
That while many people, like I've seen many, APC spokespeople coming on air to say that this is the most free and fair election because other smaller parties were able to win House of Rep and Senate seats. For example, in National State, the former governor there was defeated.
All right, Fortune, you have to round off so that we can let you go. Our time is fast.
Okay, all right. So the reason why we are not INEC, why we condemn this election as fraud, is because the amount budgeted in it is very huge, and they were expected to deliver more. The transmission of that of presidential results was deliberately huge. We were told that when the that of Rep and Senate were coming in, we were seeing it on the IRF.
Right,
but that of the presidential, which is the most important, was full. So when people say that other parties were able to defeat APC in Rep and Senate, there is nothing special about that.
All right, thank you so much.
So Richard, maybe should say.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Exactly. This is Mr. Akin calling from Lagos.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Akin from Lagos.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me say hello to your analyst there. She has tried a lot. Okay. Then my contribution to this is that first and foremost, our Lawrence Professor Wale Soyinka is a human being. So once in a while, one could make some mistakes in analysis. Probably the professor has not really gone deep into the election, and probably maybe he just saw some few areas and come to the conclusion that this is the worst election. I think I am in line with your analysis there. This election, if not the best, is one of the best we have ever had. Forget about what other parties, the way other parties are trying to make it to look so tense, And then in terms of malpractice, I tend to agree with him to an extent that definitely, if we are to look at the issue of beavers and those areas, those polling units where they are followed strictly, definitely it will be very, very hard for any manipulation to happen there. Except probably maybe areas where beavers were not used, but if they were not used, the returning officer normally say it and they are cancelled. That is that. But we should not allow anyone to deceive or see the best election so far they have had. But let's wait for the court. Then, on the issue of Mr. or Professor, I don't know, Agbafoba anyway, I know he's a lawyer. I believe being a lawyer is stand, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
He should know better. Yes, he should know better. Because for him to be advertising that in FCC that 25% is a must requisite, I think it's a little bit going in the wrong way. For instance, now, me that I'm a layman, or let me call myself a layman, not in the field. If I ask him that, okay, should I contest an election and we have 36 states plus Abuja, that's the 37. Okay, now I won in 35 states. So does it mean now that because I did not win Abuja, then I have not won the election? And even my English teacher will tell me that for you to two-thirds of 36 states and Abuja, that and already has shown us that it's not a specific.
Right.
If
Thank you so much, Akin.
It should have been saying, okay, so let me conclude that, okay, you must score 25% in Abuja. But I don't know why some of them are just going to conclusion. They should allow the Supreme Court to do its job at the end of the day. But the first election so far, one of the best, not the best so far anyway, we have had. This is the election. Thank you very much.
So
and
much
hello to KAFTAN TV, Babajide and Annabel.
Thank you so much, Ake from Lagos. All right, so I think we should have to just quickly go ahead with your analysis on police brutality before we go ahead and pick another call.
The issue of police brutality in the country, I don't see it going completely from the system.
Even
because
after the NSAS.
Yeah, even after the NSAS, they are still there. The same people are still there. They've not sacked any of them, and none of them have been relinquished of his or her position. And most of these people being recruited into the police force as a constable from the constable's section. The majority of them are cultists. They pick them, politicians who pick them from communities as if you are not a stubborn person, if you are not insane, they will not pick you from their community to come and join police. That was what has been happening. So most of them in the Nigerian police force, they are not sane. They are insane. So until we winnow them out, that is set. Until we winnow them out, the complete brutality in the Nigerian police force will never disappear. And so we have graduates now, more than enough on the street, that can even accept to be recruited into the police system. So the new police service commission boss, Arase, should look inward and see how graduates will be employed, will be recruited into the Nigerian police, and most of these people who are denting the image of the Nigerian police, they should be out. They should be.
All right, thank you so much, Richard Oriri. It's been a wonderful time having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time. It was nice having you on the program.